So this game looks pretty cool, right? Possibly the greatest VR game of all time in your eyes. Well, picture this. You played Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U in 2014, and it quickly becomes your favorite game of all time, and you see it objectively as the best racing game. You see its glaring issues, but you still love the game regardless. But then, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe get announced for Switch, and you go, ooh, alright, ooh, okay. You wait 3 years for 8 Deluxe, and you spend more money than you originally spent on the original. And you think, well, it has to be better, right? And it becomes everyone else's favorite game, and yes, it becomes the best racing game, but you are personally let down by the fact that you got practically nothing new. You can't help but feel spite towards the game, and like Mario Kart 8 more, even with the horrible battle mode. Well, if you hadn't caught on, Boneworks is Mario Kart 8, and Bone Lab is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Video over, goodbye. Okay, fine. I'll explain why I feel so strongly against Bone Lab, but if you're here watching this and you liked, let alone loved Bone Lab, just stop watching because what I have to say might just trigger you and tick you off. Let's start with the campaign, which is easily the worst and most insulting aspect of Bone Lab. Bone Lab starts with a bang, immediately making you fat, put a bag over your head, and then hangers! Then you fall in a pit, and you have a very differently toned introduction than Boneworks' cheery museum level, with an almost Dark Souls or Blade and Sorcery fantasy feel. You get introduced to skeletons, which pretty much never meet again, Crablets, null bodies, and omni projectors that are practically the only enemies that you'll ever see for the rest of the duration of the campaign. Essentially, the only new enemies are these turret things and the skeletons, both never really making any appearances, which is sad because this has been in the oven for 3 years now, and Boneworks already had its structure. Which, by the way, Boneworks was made from scratch, pretty much from what I know of, and took less time to make than Bone Lab. Yeah, Bone Lab is more money. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Anyway, the first level is honestly pretty great, although the tutorial aspect of it is pretty bad and inaccessible. I can see a lot of people giving up at only the first level, but for Boneworks players, the first level was decently length, had a great tone, and had a much better intro sequence than Boneworks' cutscene. And during my first playthrough, got me really excited for what was yet to come. At the end of the level, you fall into this little arena with infinitely spawning enemies and no real indication that you're meant to just proceed without killing them. Someone could probably run around there until they run out of ammo, because the game doesn't really do a good job hinting the player on how to progress, which will be a reoccurring topic in this review. Inaccessibility, and not in comfortability, but in level design and vagueness. You get in this elevator, it goes crooked, which, by the way, felt amazing. Like, seeing it, you're like, I can barely tell the difference, but like when you're actually in the game, it is very disorienting and it's amazing. Then you free fall and fall into the lab. Now remember when I said inaccessibility was a major point in the video? This is the greatest example of it. Stress level 0, what were you thinking? So you get into this lab, neat synthwave plays, and you are told nothing. You see a bunch of mini games and you might go and try some out, but so many people either stopped playing entirely or had to look up what to do. Just look up where to go after the lab in Bone Lab online and you'll find plenty of forums of players begging for help. I do like how this game throws you around, doesn't care about motion sickness. I mean, loading a minigame may just make some people throw up, and probably definitely actually has already. But this level of vagueness and inconsistency of the pacing feels very poorly thought out and overall horribly designed. What the developers intend you to do is find these stairs, which if you do find, which I didn't, you'll still be confused. But you're meant to play each minigame area once, then use the crane to put the orbs in the slots to continue the story. So essentially, they lock the campaign behind minigames. Then the game turns into Half-Life, or, you know, Doom.
Hello, everybody!
Level 3 is alright, it's fine. It's pretty much just Boneworks' sewer level, but much shorter and essentially worse. The encounters are lame and baby easy, the music is cringeworthy at times. And the one puzzle at the end was extremely frustrating, but it felt right at home and felt like Boneworks. But I appreciate the fact that it felt familiar, especially considering Act 2 of the campaign, which we'll get to shortly. Then there's level 4, which honestly is a one-trick pony. The first time you play it, you'll be like, ooh, this is cool, or it's neat the first time, but replaying it is a massive slog since you're essentially watching a cutscene that you can move your hands and head around it. Then you have level 5, which is better than the previous 2, but I think is worse than the first. This one really feels like Boneworks and sits right at home with me. You get your first shotgun, you fight some omni projectors, you get jump scared. twice.
Okay, you're pretty good.
Level's good, I like, it's fine. Also, I love the little touch that if you break the radio, you still hear Jimmy through the walls. Nice detail, excellent foreshadowing. You meet Jimmy, he's like, blah, 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 lava gang, cool, bro, yeah, rock on. Then strikes you with lightning and throws you into the elevator with his force. Cool. Level 6 is the introduction of Act 2, where you unlock all of the Avatar body types. You start off with the fist fight as Big Dude, and some good music plays. It's just an arcade-styled beat-em-up, but there's some optional parkour you can do for unlockables. It's fun for the first 2 or 3 times, but not really replayable. Also, the katana is only good for stabbing, because Stress Level 0 doesn't affect the swords being slashed. Okay. 3 years! Blades are still only good for stabbing. That's alright. Level 7 is, insulting. On a personal level. Now, if you look up Bone Lab on YouTube right now and you see this avatar, probably in most of the thumbnails, not most, but like a large majority. And I can't blame content creators for doing this because the lead developer of the game is responsible for it as well. Why? Look, I'm not saying I'm disappointed by this addition, but for a game with the complex story that it has and the severe level of self-aware meta-humor and serious sci-fi tone, why and how was this necessary? Like, what? This is Boneworks! Are you forgetting that this is meant to be Boneworks? Why? What? You know, they're like, banana. Like, why is this okay? Level 7 is boring. Ripped out the Half-Life 2 under the train tracks level. I don't want to talk about it. Why'd you add this, Brandon?
I worked on this most of the pandemic, to be entirely honest. I sat at home alone and I coded what I call body remapping.
Oh yeah, I spent all day at home programming boob fizz. Goodbye, boob. Hello, Chunko, sick boy. Level 8 isn't good, like at all. It's kind of bad, honestly. You protect this thingy with health that doesn't die from monsters that deal like no damage, and you kill everything in like 1 hit. Yeah. Fun. Level 9 is the worst level in the game. Like, there's nothing here. There's actually nothing to do here. It's a sandbox map, where you play as a short, low-jumping gremlin. And you run around aimlessly forever until you find the orb. Like, cool, wow, Stress Level 0, did you forget that this is a story mode, not a mindless sandbox? Wow, okay, just wow, moving on. Level 10, you play as anime. Then you go racing and Osu music starts playing. Okay. Level 11, it's fine. Honestly, this is one of the better Act 2 levels. I don't know why people are so offended over this one. I don't really see the complaints. It's pretty easy, honestly. You climb up a tower where characters constantly cycle and you shoot this orb and win. Simple, but too short, and I don't know why everyone's freaking out about this one. Level 12, it's cutscene. Nice, and that's Act 2. Cool. Alright, Act 3 is decent. In level 13, you have all the characters unlocked. You go through a very large level, where you go through a little sewer section, then you go to a similar level that reminds me a lot of the central station from Boneworks. This level is the only level in the entire game that feels normal length, or a comparable length to a Boneworks level. The only level in the entire game. Anyway, it's a decent level. You have the avatar switching unlocked, which is fun to mess around with in combat, even though you really only use fast, tall, and heavy. Then level 14 is the final level and it's ridiculously short and pathetic. Moving on, then the game ends, roll credits, roll and snare drum curtains, everybody laugh. Why? Why? This is sad. I'm sad. I might have the argument of, oh, Pixel, it's meant to be a sandbox game, not a story-heavy game. Have you seen the lore? Have you played Boneworks? No, seriously, have you played Boneworks? Because that story mode was about 8 or 9 hours long. Bone Lab is about 4 or 5 hours long, and Act 2 I can't even call a part of the campaign. So there's only really 6 levels, one being one giant auto-scroller. That's pathetic. Now yes, Bone Lab is trying to be more like Gmod, while Boneworks is trying to be Half-Life 2, but the fact that this game came after Boneworks, took longer to be made than Boneworks, and had Boneworks as a structure and support to build off of, and Boneworks was less money, why is Bone Lab worse in more ways than it's better? Yeah, modding now is just drop folder into mods folder, which is nice, but 2.5 years, $40 wasted. For that, Boneworks with easier mod functionality, with worse graphics, that's the game. The only reason why I'm so devastatedly disappointed in Bone Lab is because of what it seemed to be shaping up to be. Bone Lab's final product it's Boneworks on Quest, with shotguns, mods, and anime girls. I didn't want that. I wanted Boneworks 2, or a completely different and comparable game with the same physics engine. I got Boneworks 1.1, or Boneworks Deluxe, with what feels like less content, honestly, because of how little that the campaign actually takes advantage of. And the only reason why this is such a big deal to me is because how the game was teased. Back in 2019, before Boneworks had even released, Project 4, now called Bone Lab, was announced at an Oculus event to be coming to Quest
next year.
The concept art looking very different, having to play as what seems to be an Omni projector fighting ghosts. This looks neat and different, and honestly quite innovative. I played Boneworks in May of 2021, very late yes, but I've been following Project 4's development before and after that. I was there when the OST got teased by Brandon with a little bit of Trash Ninja on Twitter. I was there when the title dropped at the Meta Showcase. I was following Bone Lab ever since Node said they'd be filming the Node video back in April of last year.
I'm planning on filming a bunch of videos with him and Stress Level Zero, showcase their new games. In fact, I'm going to film a sneak peek of their brand new game at the end of the month, so stay tuned for that.
Which never got filmed until late September of this year. Wow, that took a while. So essentially they were going to film that, and then they never did. And then they just finished the game, and then they did it, so, I mean, it was cool. I was getting a little impatient for a while until I forgot it existed, but yeah. So everything was looking great. The teaser looked like a complete great change of pace and tone. The release date trailer showed off a brand new avatar swap mechanic. Then I bought Bone Lab day one and played it, and I was sad. And then when I beat the game, it got worse. Because it was Boneworks on Quest, with a few reskins and new additions. That's really it. Even though Bone Lab was hyping itself to be the perfect game in my eyes, it turned out to be Gmod VR, and it still isn't a bad game, even though the campaign was severely lacking. But the minigames should have been enough to suffice and make up for the lack of structure, right? There are 5 areas in the lab: the tactical trial, the arena, sandbox, parkour, and experimental. And if I hadn't gotten my point across that I don't consider Act 2 as a part of the story mode, literally all in these areas there is one avatar level. Okay, cool, so the devs are shameless enough to admit that they are actually levels and more are sandboxes. Cool, thanks. Thanks, Stress Level Zero. So when going over all the areas, I will be completely ignoring the Act 2 levels, as they really just don't count. Starting with experimental, it's bowling. It's fun for 2 minutes, yay. Yeah, it's lame that there's only one here, but there won't be anything new coming to the campaign, I'm pretty sure. So hopefully experimental will become the coolest one out of the 5. There's tactical trial, which I think is easily a step up from Boneworks, even though it does get boring after playing both maps twice. Drop Hit's alright, it's just the original tactical trial, but with a less exciting ending, and it's separated into 3 sections: rifle, pistol, and shotgun. Neon Districts is pretty cool, and there's a lot of different ways you can win by taking different routes since it's not a linear path like Drop Hit. But both maps get boring after a bit, and I'm hoping that the mod support will allow people to make their own tactical trial maps. The concept is great, but more variety is necessary. Arena has pretty much one actual arena, then Zombie Warehouse, and then the free roam shoot, almost Gmod kind of level. Container Yard is Zombie Warehouse, but smaller, less exciting, and worse. Cool. Fantasy Arena is just a port of the Boneworks Arena with some new map layout variants and challenges. It's fun, it's the arena, probably will sink a few hours into this, but I see it getting very old quickly. That Tunnel Typer is just weird. It's a small rectangular labyrinth of small sewer-like tunnels. That reminds me a lot of Gmod for some reason. Interesting, don't know why it was made, but I don't see myself ever returning to it. Parkour, why does this exist? Personally, Boneworks' weakest mechanic was the climbing. So Bone Lab fixed one issue and made it possible to grab ledges so lifting yourself up was easier while you're technically still doing the same exact thing, but being slightly assisted. Then made platforming worse somehow in a way I can't explain. Then made an entire game mode of it. Dungeon Warrior, a linear obstacle course themed after Fantasyland. Neon District Parkour, which is literally just the tactical trial map, but no enemies. Wow, that was creative. Then Rooftops, which is literally Trinity's escape sequence from The Matrix, which is pretty cool, but also there's a giant hologram of an anime made, so 0 out of 10 maps. Then I saved the best for last. The Sandbox. Box. If this entire game just exists to highlight its sandbox, had the campaign blatantly as an afterthought, and raised the price $10 and had over 2 years of development, the sandbox has to be good, right? Wrong. This is why I'm so disappointed in Bone Lab and the campaign as a whole. The campaign wasn't the point. That's not what the focus was of Bone Lab. It was make Boneworks more of a physics playground than the actual cohesive game. That's fine, but all of this, the $40 price tag, the avatar swap, the horrible campaign, all for this. One new map, are you kidding me? But there's 8 maps, not 1. Are you blind? Yes, but that's besides the point. First off, Moonbase doesn't count. Even though that's actually the only sandbox level in the campaign, it's still a campaign level, so scratch that off. Okay, down to 7. That's a fine amount, right? Well, not really, because Museum Basement and Tuscany aren't original maps, and are ported over from Boneworks. So down to 5. Gun Range is a gun range. Nothing more, nothing less. It's a gun range. That's not a sandbox level, that's a gun range. 4. Okay, look. Baseline. It's Blank Box from Boneworks. Okay, Hollow Chamber. It's Blank Box from Boneworks, but smaller and better. Okay, now let's look at Mirror. No, the flashbacks. No! Okay, so 4 minus 3. 1. There's 1 new sandbox map in Bone Lab. The horrible campaign, the mods, 2.5 years of development, the price raise. All of this for 1 new map of content. That is pathetic, that is sad. The map's fine. But all of this effort, all of these years, for a hollow shell of what once was a great masterpiece. But I am happy to support Stress Level 0 and see what they have in store. Boneworks will remain my favorite game of all time, but I will be playing Bone Lab from now on instead. Maybe I'll even make a Fordwick 4 about John Arthur in it when Entanglement gets ported over, who knows? We'll have to see what the future holds in store, because this game is only going to get better and better. The end is the beginning, and until this forever ends, farewell.